Hello. Obviously not very good news if you'd seen it on the news earlier, but yeah, we've had a surge in cases in the UK and our first death from coronavirus, COVID-19. Obviously, lots of other nations have sadly had deaths already, but this was pretty much inevitable. It looks like the UK is now going to be moving from their whatever they called it containment stage to the delay stage, which means that what they're doing now more is just trying to slow down the spread of it because they know it's inevitably coming. I think which we all knew anyway, but that's what the politicians are saying anyway. But obviously, if we have a look at some of the figures, it's already pretty grim in some of the other countries. If I just report this one's just in from a couple of minutes ago. 4 new cases in Los Angeles County, California, United States. 1 new death in Iran. The patient was diplomat Hussein Sheikh Holasham. I'm not going to pronounce that right. Former member of parliament, Iran's ambassador to Syria. He played a role in the hostage crisis at the US Embassy in Tehran in the early 1980s. And then we've had cases in Ireland today, Washington State, Sweden, Wales, that's in the UK. The first death, I said, in the UK. 769 new cases and 41 deaths in Italy, which is pretty insane. Let me just put the... Sorry, I'm going to put my phone on silent because otherwise I'm going to keep hearing it beep when... I'll just do airplane mode. There we go. But yeah, not good. Yeah, if we look at the current stats, let me just F5 that again and then go to the table. And we just look at countries other than China. 5,766 cases in South Korea. 3,858 cases in Italy. 3,513 cases in Iran. Germany 349. Japan 331. France 285. Spain 248. US 190. So yeah, not good, basically, is the there hasn't been any deaths reported in Wales yet, Ralphie. Certainly not 85 or 83 deaths. Is that a recent thing then, the 543 cases? Because it's 349 on BNO Newsroom, but I know sometimes different trackers are out of date. It just said Berkshire, or Berkshire, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So that's pretty close to me because I'm in Oxford. So Berkshire is sort of in between here and Buckinghamshire. Yeah, supposedly there's 2 strains of it now, but I don't know how many places have verified that yet. Yeah, there was a thing on the news about that, Mike. It started in Australia a few days ago in the US, but yeah, apparently now it's in a lot of places here. Thank you, MG. Well, the problem is in the UK, they're now saying they're not going to actually reveal the figures properly until every Friday, which lots of people have complained about. I can't remember if they said they're going to go back on that or not. Would the coronavirus end the world? I very much doubt it. Will it kill a lot of people? Yes. Thank you, Fear Venom. He said a doctor at a hospital in Ireland has it and he was working a shift, possibly spreading it to many different patients. That's bad news, but sadly that's been happening in a lot of places just because, and thank you, Robin, but because, yeah, generally you don't know if you've got it straight away, but you can still pass it on, which is why this is just so horribly contagious. Because with a lot of diseases, obviously the point you're spreading them is when you feel ill. But with this, often you can have it for weeks before you actually start coming down with the symptoms. P is particle. N, I'm not sure. If you mean like N95 masks, that's just like a different term for the P thing. It's to do with like oil or something. But just go on the P system because it's the proper one. No, I didn't hear that, Surge Trooper, but unless they made out with a soft material, I don't think most people would want to use it. Doesn't surprise me, Bart, because of course it's always demonetized if you talk about Corona. Thank you, Jose, if that's pronounced right. He says, well, I guess California is in a state of emergency. It honestly doesn't seem like it's going to get any better, is it? And thank you, Cherry. Patient in New Zealand took free air at New Zealand flights. That's not a good sign, is it? Because I imagine it spreads very easily on planes and in airports. No, I don't think it's going to get any better until obviously it's got a lot more worse, unfortunately, to begin with. I've got a video filmed for tomorrow and Saturday that are all about Corona stuff, just because I know a lot more people want to watch those at the moment and things like Geiger counters. So a lot of it at the moment is just talking about some of the weird contradictory government advice I've seen from different countries, as in masks don't protect you, but we need the masks for the doctors, that kind of stuff. And who do I think is most at risk? What preventative measures can they take? All that sort of stuff. I've heard some people preachers say that's not always true, but yeah, the problem is if you're charging people for quarantine, testing, and all that sort of stuff, it's going to put people off actually reporting. I wish him the best of luck. I'm sorry to hear that, Istvan, if that's how your name's pronounced. Thank you, Tim. He said, would a fine particular filter lining from a shop vac bag work for a custom filter canister and several layers of use? It would definitely work better than nothing. I don't know what the rating of it is, but I know a lot of vacuum cleaner things like that are actually made well enough that they can pick up quite fine layers of dust. So yeah, as long as you can breathe through it and you've got a couple of layers of those, it should work very well, I imagine. Yeah, here's the problem, Cherry, is basically apparently a lot of them were very reliant on sort of, non-stop supply from China. Obviously, when that gets disrupted, they've not got any, and now they're whinging that, oh, why are people allowed to buy them? We should get priority. When you say M1, Ivko, do you mean the Yugoslavian M1 mask? It would be all right, provided that ideally you want a newer filter on it than the old one, but it would at least work if your mask's not melted at this point. It already is a pandemic, I'm sad. I mean, I don't know if the World Health Organization has admitted it to being a pandemic yet, but it's certainly a pandemic by every normal, criteria of the word. 40mm filters are the GP5. If you put rubber O-rings in there, you can bodge most NATO filters on there. But if you want a filter to fit the GP5 properly, all modern GOST and Chinese filters should fit, as in like Russian and Chinese filters. Polish FP5 filters normally fit, but now and again you get ones that don't. That's probably why they're not getting exported properly, I'd imagine, Mobe, if it's at the stage where they're not actually dispatching them across the world, because a lot of people said, I've ordered a mask from China, and it's just said it's not coming, even when the factories have already, I've watched the John Campbell video on it, Andrea, but the point is, or Andre, sorry, but the point is I've still not heard enough about that from various sources yet, so I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I could very easily believe there are multiple strains of it. Personally, I don't trust the BBC very much because they've been very biased on other things in the past. Cheers, Caroline. A web app cannot protect you from it, Bill. I mean, unless it forewarns you where people have been infected, it's not going to actually prevent a virus getting into your body. Well, White Wolf, in some ways, if you do get it now, I'm sure it's nothing, but if you do get it now, this is the best time to get it before everything gets overwhelmed. Because if you get it like a month or two down the line, that's when your chances get a lot worse. Right, I'm just going to answer a filter question for everybody again who's not been listening to any of the stuff I've said about filters. With filters, it's totally down to the particle rating on them. And particle filters don't expire until they get so clogged up that you can't breathe through them. Thank you, Newsman 2. He said, I ordered some masks online, JSP Foresight, but my order was cancelled because they were requisitioned by the UK government. I'll have some already. Oh, bloody hell. I did not know they were doing that. So basically, they're saying now, are they, that if you've got a mask on order, it belongs to the UK government, not to you. Like, you'll get a refund, but the UK government's taking them. So remember, these masks don't work, but the government wants them, and they'll cancel your orders to give them to the government. The government could do a buyback on a lot of my masks if they wanted. They're going to have to pay a lot for them, though. They have to pay a premium. I wouldn't pay, overcharge regular people for them. If the government wants them, well, they're going to have to pay. Thank you, Jinx. Just got done prepping and cleaning 7 MP4s, thanks. Right, good, yep. So at the moment, if the UK government is trying to requisition masks, I would say go for surplus ones. They're probably too dumb to look at. Yeah, in regards to people saying about making masks from different materials, any kind of filter material, in theory, you could make a mask from. It's just some would be more efficient and comfortable than others, I imagine. Thank you to Sparrow. He said, got 2 khaki MP5 masks for wife and kid. That will be the French AFRA mask, that one. Khaki so it doesn't look too scary for the 8-year-old. A bunch of FP5s failing to prepare is preparing to fail, exactly. Just check with those masks that the rubber and plastic is in good condition when you get them. Because the issue with those French masks is the rubber tends to dry out quite a lot. They didn't make them from a very long-lasting rubber. So my Polish MP5s are in much better condition, weirdly, than the French ones are. Yeah, a Y2K or a U2K respirator dye would work, assuming you got the ones that are the P3 rated, or at least P2 at a minimum. The P1 rated FP5s, not FP5, sorry, the Y2Ks, certainly wouldn't work. Bangers and mash, UVB would disinfect a mask, but I don't know how long it would have to be under it, at what wattage for it to work properly. Bleach, if watered down, it would depend on the rubbers of the mask, if it would damage it or not. The thing you have to understand with the people asking why cases jumped in certain places is you're always kind of playing like a week to 2 weeks catch up on it, even assuming you've got enough test kits and doctors and all that. Because what ends up happening is, because it has such a long incubation period, any one of us could be infected, say, at the moment. So let's say I got infected today or yesterday. It might be a week or 2 weeks before I start feeling ill. So it might only be a week or 2 weeks till I actually go and get tested for it. It's that kind of thing. In a lot of countries as well, because they're so short of test kits, they're basically saying you have to be in a certain position to get a test, which is awful. Thank you, Cherry. He said, would silicone lube be good for an M71 or 4A1 mask? Should be absolutely fine. I've polished my 4A1 up with silicone lubricant before, and it got nice and shiny. Didn't damage it, made the rubber preserve quite well. So yeah, it should be absolutely fine. They would work okay, Julia, but the problem is apparently the government's requisitioning them now, and people can't get a hold of them. Yeah, Confed Boye. I mean, that's a good thing from it, I guess, but it's not very nice circumstances. But yeah, I think it's just because all of a sudden people are interested in masks and NBC gear, where a lot of people wouldn't be normally. And YouTube actually starts recommending the channel, or at least it was for a bit, because the videos are popular. But now, of course, when they start demonetizing all the corona stuff, because I'm not the World Health Organization, it's probably going to do the opposite. Oh, don't forget to like the stream, though, anybody that's come on, because there's about 4 times as many people watching as likes. A dust mask, as long as it's a decent quality one and makes a good face fit, yes, that's good. But remember, if you're only using a half face mask, wear goggles or something with it. Well, luckily, I don't have to commute on public transport to my weekend job, Rodrigo. But if I did, then I would. But I just use my car for it, so, I'm protected in the car. Yeah, that's not good, is it, PhD of Life? I know the US is having one of the worst death rates by percentages so far. But I'm assuming a lot of that is just due to the fact that you've had an outbreak in a care home. But yeah, if we look at the US on here, it's 177 cases on this one. It's probably lower. Like I said, it's probably higher than that, like you said, but this is just a bit out of date, this one. And 11 deaths, making it 6.2%. But yeah, what we're seeing at the moment, of course, is that the death rate is a lot higher than people were initially saying. They're like, oh, it's just the flu, it'll be like 0.1 to 1% at worst, and now we're seeing it's probably like a 3 to 4% average on the death rate, which means it's like 30 times deadlier than the seasonal flu. A Ben 4GP would be fine, and it's 40mm NATO, yes. Thank you, Jose. He said, thanks for getting on live and keeping us updated. I greatly appreciate it. Also, I'm happy to get I'm happy I got my GP5 before shit hit the fan and the prices got high. Yeah, that's the problem at the moment. Because we're running into that problem that I was sort of talking about a couple of weeks ago, where I was saying if you don't have a lot of masks beforehand, you're going to have to start paying more for them. And now people are getting into that situation where supplies either totally run out, even if they want to pay like $100, $200 for a basic mask, or the government requisitions them because they demand them, not you. Rain poncho would be absolutely fine. I mean, the whole point is it's just easy to decontaminate. But yeah, I was recommending raincoats and things in my videos the other day about stuff if you don't want to get proper NBC gear. You can reuse a filter multiple times, assuming that the outside of it isn't contaminated, basically. So basically how you do it is if you've got a filter with a plastic case, you could spray the outside down with disinfectant. Any virus type stuff that's trapped in the filter is fine because it's trapped inside it. However, if it's the kind of filters that when they get a bit damp don't work anymore, throw those away. Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate it. So do you think it's a pandemic? And if so, why? What type of death percent rate for the virus? Right, I'd say it's a pandemic just because it's on every continent at the moment except Antarctica. If you want me to read all the countries that are infected outside of China, South Korea, Italy, Iran, Germany, Japan, France, Spain, the US, Singapore, UK, Hong Kong, Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, Kuwait, Malaysia, Australia, Belgium, Bahrain, Thailand, Taiwan, Netherlands, Austria, Iraq, Canada, Iceland, Greece, India, UAE, Algeria, Vietnam, San Marino, Israel, Lebanon, Oman, Denmark, Finland, Macau, Ecuador, Croatia, Qatar, Czech Republic, Portugal, Iceland, Belarus, Romania, Mexico, Pakistan, Senegal, Brazil, Palestine, Russia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Saudi Arabia, Philippines, Chile, New Zealand, Egypt, Indonesia, Estonia, Hungary, Morocco, Bosnia, Nepal, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, North Macedonia, Nigeria, Lithuania, Monaco, Luxembourg, Ukraine, Latvia, Tunisia, Jordan, Andorra, Armenia, Dominican Republic, Argentina, Liechtenstein, I've never even heard of this country, but okay, Poland, Slovenia, and South Africa. So yes, I'd say under that definition, it's a pandemic. If you look at just how many countries it's in, death rate at the moment seems to be between 3 and 4%. If it hits elderly or vulnerable populations, obviously the death percentage is higher. There's evidence, as people have been saying in the chat today, that there might be 2 strains of this at this point. One version of the virus is more deadly than the other type. But again, it's basically, as a general rule, the older you are and the more underlying health problems you have, the more likely you are to die if you get it. Yeah, in a video, I think it's the one I've got coming out tomorrow, I was literally saying that, I'd much rather authorities be honest with people rather than pretend everything's fine until the moment it's not, and then everybody panics. Because if you slowly ease people into the fact that you were running into something bad, I think it'd be a lot less serious than suddenly just going to people, oh shit, it's real, But what do I know? Thank you, Daniel. He said Ireland has JSP 4 filters for sale. I'd say if you're in Ireland then and you can get them now while you can still get them, in case the Republic government does the same thing the British government's apparently doing and seizing them. You know. The Furnez, it's a good mask. I say 30 to 50 quid, depending on condition. But yeah, the Furnez is a good mask. For the people saying, can you get it again? I'd assume that you can catch the other strain of it, and I assume that's what we've been seeing so far, where people seem to have been reinfected. They've got one strain and then caught the other strain of it. Imagine if you catch both strains at once, your survival odds are pretty low. The people who said they've been trying to order from Screwfix Meteor said they get the error basically saying the government's taking them and you're not having them. What was the UK number rised again? Since I started the stream. Let me F5 this. Check B&O newsroom. Latest one is the 4 new cases in Los Angeles. Is there a new thing on the BBC? No, the last thing on there is about the thing. But yeah, like I said, it has gone up quite a lot today. Ski goggles, Jacob, if you put a bit of duct tape around the outside. Chemical goggles would be exactly the same as well if you put a bit of duct tape around the outside. But you can get like snorkeling goggles, swimming goggles, that sort of thing that are airtight. When you say outlet, do you mean valves on the FM12 outserts? Which do you mean? Try and get Flying Pig. If you can't get an Israeli youth mask or a Soviet PDF mask, see if you can get just a small size of any of the industrial half face masks. Yeah, apparently like packs of 10 3M masks, that would normally be like $10 to $20, like $1 or $2 a mask now are like the hundreds of dollars a pack now. Yeah, I'm all right, Adrian, thankfully. I mean, I'm all right at the moment, but a lot of people aren't, unfortunately. But I'm honestly wondering now, with my job I do at the weekends, how long until I'm told not to bother coming in just because they can't feasibly keep it open if it gets bad. I think they were saying something like within a week, the government is going to decide if they need to quarantine or not in the UK, like, start doing the emergency measures of stopping football games and all that sort of stuff. And I think that will be when a lot of people find out they're told not to go to work. When you say outlet, again, do you mean exhale valve? I don't know what you mean by outlet. If you mean an exhale valve, literally pull the old one out off, put the new one in. They're normally umbrella valves. If you mean under the plastic housing, you literally just pull it off. That's not good. Did it say where in Spain they are? Because obviously the big worry, I guess, is if you get more cases in Madrid or any of the big cities. But that's pretty much... Yeah, exhale valve, literally take the plastic cover off the front. That literally just pulls off. Then pull off the exhale valve that's in there, push the new one in through the hole. It's just a standard umbrella valve. I mean, I never use my GP7, but if I get some more anti-fog lenses, sure, I'll shove them in. But it's literally just a case of folding them and putting them in. Yeah, you have to, Borico, post your ID in the chat if you've donated, and then I can add you that way. Let me load Discord up, because I've not got it running yet. I've done videos on the MCU2P. The issue is with it, it yellows and kind of doesn't age very well, just due to the fact that it's kind of made from like a silicon that, was a bit... If you can get one for a decent price, it's not a bad mask, but it's one of those masks that's more likely to fail due to age, just due to the components used in it. Don't forget to like the stream, anybody, if you've come on at the moment, because there's like over 500 people watching, but about 200 likes. Thank you again, Barocco. Let me add you. Hang on. So what I'll do is I'll send you a friend's invite, then when you've got the friend invite, just PM me and then I'll send you a server invite. It doesn't like your name. It says double check the spelling and capitalization. Let me try it without a capital. No, doesn't like that either. That's weird. Try pasting your name in again, but it certainly doesn't like that at the moment. Although Discord now and again will just randomly tell me a name works, so telling me it's not been working. No, it's going to definitely get to 1,000. If it's got to 100, it's going to get to 1,000. Bear in mind, on average, each person that seems to get it seems to give it to like 4 to 6 people. So if it's at 1,000 today, within a few days, it will be 600 cases. And then within a few days, it will be 1,000 easily. Cheers, Godzilla Lover. It didn't work. If you repasted it, because I asked you to repaste it because it didn't work, Rocco, you don't need to obviously donate again. Just repaste your name. I'll try copy and pasting it in again, but at the moment it doesn't like it. It says, double check the capitalization, spelling, any spaces and numbers are correct. You should just be able to double click the thing at the bottom. I've seen the news doing it, but they're fucking stupid, especially now the government's requisitioning masks, apparently, or whatever, to get enough. But yeah, if you laugh at somebody for having a mask on public transport and then you get it and you're dying, it's your own fault, in all honesty. I don't want to say that like I'm a cunt. It's just, that's the actual reality of it, isn't it? That it seems really stupid to me that if there's people who are trying to avoid catching it and spreading it to other people, they're the problem. Right, let me try again, Barocco. See if it works this time. Oh, it's a different number this time. Yeah, okay, that helps. Yeah, thank you, Tim. But yeah, again, the problem here is where for ages they were telling people all masks don't work or whatever. And what they weren't doing was actually saying, look, there's different types of masks, and all that sort of stuff. Where, in reality, all they literally needed to say is that, it's like that US Surgeon General thing that we already complained about, where he said, oh, seriously, people, stop buying masks. But, the doctors need masks. So what they could have just said is, look, there's not enough masks to go around. The doctors need masks because they're on the front line fighting this. Giving masks to doctors is a better alternative than regular people having them. If they said that and were honest, I think people could understand it. But when they literally lie, with one thing, and then suddenly say, I'm going to have to close Discord because people are PMing me links and it's just spamming the chat interface. It should be 70% alcohol, people are saying, but I don't know if 90% would work. But again, I can't comment on that. But yeah, you should disinfect stuff you buy. Because obviously the person stocking the shelves or people touching stuff on the shelves could easily put bacteria or viruses on it. Thank you, 24 UFA. He said, will M15 gas mask thread GOS filters? Fred it can, but don't have any GOS filters, myself in fairness. Right. If you have an Israeli M15, both GOST and NATO filters will go into the mask. If you have Israeli filters, they don't tend to fit GOST mask properly. Some people report they do, but I have never found Israeli Type 80 filters work on any of my GOST masks. But again, it could be a bit like the FP5 thing, where it just seems random if you get one that works or not. But yeah, Israeli M15s, like all NATO masks, you can put GOST or NATO filters on them. Ramaraz says, an airtight sealed FP5 filter that expired in 2016 should be fine for you. So it'll be absolutely fine. Don't throw it away. With any combination filter, even when they're expired, they're still going to work against particulates, and the virus is a particulate. Yep, it's 30 times deadlier confirmed than the flu now, but all right, I'll have a look afterwards, Daniel. Thanks, but yeah, sometimes when I'm on the stream, the issue is obviously if people start sending me links, it just starts spamming it up on the side of the screen. You need to post your full ID, Jose, but yes, I will add you if you do it again. So yeah, if you post your Discord ID with the hashtag and everything, then I'll add you. literally all travel is being reduced at the moment, just because. Did you hear Flybe went bust? I've never even used Flybe, but yeah, they went bust just because they were in financial trouble as it was. And then nobody wants flights anymore. Let me look up the 3M9042 because I don't know which one it is off the top of my head. It's FP2 apparently. That's definitely all right. I mean, P3 is what you want to strive for, but if you can only get a P2, that's better than nothing. All right, thank you. Yeah, that's all. You didn't have to donate again, Jose, but I appreciate it. But yeah, that was the bit I needed. Right, there you go. Sent you a friend's request, accept that, and he'll invite you. I don't know what you can tell them if they won't listen to evidence, but surgical masks just tell them to prevent you infecting other people through sneezing and basically coughing. They have no filter medium. They're basically all they are designed to do is prevent your spittle hitting other people. Romanian M85 would be fine. Just make sure you put a modernish filter on it that was P3 rated. What was the comment? Sorry, PhD of Life. I've not spotted it. If you post it again in the chat, because I've missed it, and the problem is the chat's moving too fast. I can't keep going back up in the chat to look for things. Did you send that on Discord or what? But I've not seen it in the regular comments. The problem is if you ask that, YouTube might actually just delete it as spam, and I said I won't give my public sort of details out on a stream or anything. So, but anyway, ideally I want to just talk about Corona stuff, not my details, on the stream like this. Apparently, panic buying has started in London now. Apparently, toilet paper's run out in a few places. Sanitizer's been out and all that for ages, but apparently they are running into, like just in regular supermarkets now, certain goods running out. And again, you could see this coming because once everybody suddenly goes, oh shit, it's bad, they'll just go out and panic buy because they've not thought about preparing for it beforehand. Thank you, Gregory. Let me add you. Right. I've already done that Bushcraft Master. Again, for anybody asking me, can I do a video on this? Can I do a video on that? Search my channel first because I've been doing videos for years. If you don't find a video, then ask me if I can do it. But in general, when people say, can you do a video on this mask or on a size or this sort of tutorial, I've already done it. Right, for all the people saying, should I go to work, should I go to school because of cases, it's totally up to you. You have to make that decision for yourself. I can't make it for you. Obviously, if you don't go to work because of an infection and you lose your job, you could be financially screwed over, but at the same time, you're not going to risk getting infected. That's why at the moment in the UK, they're doing all that stuff about emergency like payment for workers so they don't essentially lose their houses or whatever or become homeless because they can't go into work due to the risk of it. Thank you, Chris. Are they the old West German filters? Let me Google it. I'm pretty sure it's the West German filters. Yeah, they're the old Draeger filters from the 80s. Yeah, they work absolutely fine. They're P3 at the front. Because if you look at the front, it's like a ribbed white ridge. Don't blame you, Daniel, because at the moment. Thank you, David. He said, do you know the proper method to disinfect a gas mask after wearing it without cross-contamination? Well, I said in a video about this before, but while wearing it, spray it down with something like rubbing alcohol, and then obviously make sure you take it off without touching your face, and then clean your hands again. But again, it's going to depend on the style of mask and what disinfectant you're using. But the problem is, obviously, most people here, including me, are not CBRN trained to like a nerve agent dealing level. So it's just going to be using common sense, I think, a lot of the time. I mean, bear in mind that the media is saying you literally don't need to take any precautions, just wash your hands fairly often. You know. I mean, I see military helicopters quite often, but again, it's hard to say, isn't it? There's no way of knowing, really. No, RJB, completely unrelated to the stream, wanted to go, was planning on going this year. Sort of glad I didn't end up getting that sorted, because you're not going to be flying anywhere this summer, I don't think, anybody. Thank you, Mr. MJ. He said, do you reckon you could get into trouble with the police for wearing a military respirator like an S10 or GB5 in public? You shouldn't. Whether or not the police want to be dicks is another thing, but I think at this stage, wear whatever the fuck you want and say fuck you to, well, maybe not, don't phrase it like that, but you know, people, in my opinion, can take a hike in the politest way possible if they, object to you wearing a mask or anything like that, because again, I find it completely ridiculous that there's, people getting shamed by the media or whatever because, oh, they wore a mask on a train or a bus. Do I have a 3D printer running in the background? The computer fan's running, that's the only thing I can hear. Whether or not the microphone's picking up something I can't even hear with my ear, I don't know. Yeah, that would work absolutely fine, Spectre. There's an orange NBC suit behind me. There's not a person behind me. I've not actually reviewed the SGE 400, but thank you anyway, if you just mean review videos in general. But I've never reviewed that mask, because I wouldn't pay a lot of money for one, because I know about the technical faults they have. Best cheek filter masks. The original USM 17 series. Polish MP4s are probably the best copy of the M17. And then Soviet PBFs are alright if you want a differently designed cheek filter mask. Right, just for anybody coming in the stream asking strange questions, we're mostly trying to talk about coronavirus this stream. So I have no real interest in discussing random political shit that has no relevance to coronavirus. No, I have no idea, Ray, because people weren't even talking about that till like a day or two ago, so I have no idea if the test kits tell you what strain it is, I don't know. If it's taken them this long to figure out there's two strains, I don't know how all of a sudden test kits would differentiate. Thank you, Jose, again. So if stretched over your head, probably could you use glasses of GP5 mask? And thanks for underscore, my good sir. Sorry. You'd probably want to take these bits off your glasses. So get a spare pair, take the arms off, and then with most masks, you could probably just cable tie the bridge of the glasses onto any of the masks, and it should be fine. Assuming that, the mask isn't in such a shape it just snaps the glasses. But the issue is, of course, with a lot of masks, if you try and wear the mask while you have glasses on, the actual arms of the glasses are the bits that break the seal. Because with most masks, they seal sort of there or sort of like that on your face. And then the glasses, the arms of them open it up. Thank you, Gamer85p. He said, I've been a mask collector for years, but I find your videos so helpful, making sure my modern masks are ready for everything so much. Glad you found the channel. Glad you find it interesting. Thank you very much for the donation. if you don't have symptoms, there's absolutely no point in you getting tested. The thing is, you could have it, you could not, but most countries don't have enough test kits, so they should be reserved for people who are more likely to get really serious complications. Thank you again, Kane. It says 7 new cases have been reported in Ireland. That's not good. Is that in the last few minutes, or is that sort of today? Let me refresh this. 5 new cases in Georgia. All had recently returned from Italy. 1 new death in King County, Washington State, United States. The patient was a woman in her 90s and a resident of a long-term care facility, which is essentially an outbreak. Okay, so that's, again, not a very surprising death, but it's still a shame. But yeah, latest one I can see on there is 1 new case in Ireland, but that's not to say that's gotten broken down into like lower numbers. But yeah, I think if you look at most countries now, we're getting a lot of cases. Are NBC suits relevant? Well, it's always a good idea to have one around. The main thing of an NBC suit is it makes taking all your stuff off and decontaminating much easier, because you've got one suit sort of over everything that you just need to decontaminate rather than lots of different layers of clothes. Thank you, Digital. He said, I live in Washington State, ground zero for the disease here in the US. I work in the grocery store and my co-worker seems live to the threat. Sadly, I think there's some people who just never seem to grasp anything could go wrong until maybe after it's happened. Are you having any panic buying there yet? Because, I mean, I find it very weird if you're working in a store, people are panic buying and then your co-workers are still sort of going, oh, why is this happening? I mean, I have worked with people over the years that are completely irrelevant, completely unaware, to anything going on the news or, that was serious. As far as I'm aware of the test kits, if you come out positive, that's accurate. If you come out negative, there's like a 70 to 80% failure rate of the test. So, yeah, I think, just to reconfirm that from everything I've read and seen videos on, if you get a test done and you're positive, as in you have coronavirus, then it's accurate. I don't think you can get false positives, but you can get false negatives, because they've had quite a few people they've run tests on, they come out negative, let back into the community, and then, a day or two later, they report with symptoms again, they're tested and they've got it. So you're out of that stuff, Digital, and they're not questioning why you've run out of that stuff. But yeah, I know at my local pharmacy, they're out of hand sanitizer, can't get any more in, out of surgical gloves, can't get any more in, and out of, what was the other thing they ran out of? I think little surgical masks as well, can't get any more in. So sadly, there's a lot of old people that don't have access to the internet and they just can't get hand sanitizer or anything like that anywhere. And they're the most vulnerable people, but again, this is why you kind of want this stuff in advance, not wait till something goes wrong and then try and get stuff. If they tested him twice, Renzo, it'll probably be because there's like a 70 to 80% chance, even if you're positive, to test report you're negative, because they're not very good tests. So if you tested somebody who was positive 10 times, you'd probably get 3 out of those 10 tests say they're positive and 7 say they're negative. Just because, yeah. Supposedly that's the reliability of the tests until they develop a better test for it. That's just how it's going to work. Yeah, we've got a fair few in our house because we just use them for different things. And rubbing alcohol, I've always got loads of that because I just use it as a general cleaning thing. Thank you very much. Money, money, money. He said, ooh, baby, let's have $100 for that. Thank you. What currency is ARS then? Let's look that up. Thank you. Do you have actually a question? Argentina peso. Right, thank you. So 100 Argentina pesos is £1.24, but thank you very much anyway. The thing I love with YouTube, right, when people donate, is they don't take into consideration what currency they've donated. So if somebody donates maybe Russian rubles and they donated 100 rubles, it would show up the same as if somebody donated £100. I find that quite funny, just because, of course, not all currencies are equal, but thank you very much anyway. It's more than Russian rubles are worth as far as I'm actually no, that might not be. Russian rubles are what, like 40 or 50 to a pound, aren't they? So it's not. It's worth more than a ruble. Less than a ruble. I don't know. I know there's some Asian currencies where it's literally like thousands of them in a pound. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You don't have to keep donating though, but thank you. I'm just a bit, was trying to work out the currency because I'd never seen it before. Yeah, thank you, Jose. Just for anybody wondering about super chats for YouTube, it doesn't make a difference what amount you donate because YouTube always takes the same cut of it. But thank you. Thank you, GamerBean552. He says, how many gas masks do you have in your collection? Right. Up to a few days ago or a week or so ago, I would have had about 150 odd. I hadn't tallied them up in ages, but at the moment I'm giving any to friends or family that ask for a mask, just because I've got them to go around. But yeah, I would have said 150 odd roughly, like a couple of weeks ago. But the issue was I used to have like a Word document where I had them all numbered up on there. But then the thing that ended up happening was when Windows 10 at one point derped, fucked my hard drive on my old PC. I didn't bother tallying up in. Right, thank you very much for the Argentine currency. And Mitchell said 60 to 40 millimeter filter adapter trust in NBC situations. Military certainly used them, so they'd be good enough in certain situations. Whether or not the plastics in them could withstand things like mustard gas, blister agents for a long time, I don't know, but they're certainly good enough for coronavirus. Tyvek suits are fine. Tychems are slightly thicker and stronger, but what about 100k watt ARS? Sorry. But thank you again. And Chris says, forgot to mention the Haymack filter is from the 80s. Yep, I've got one. It's similar to this filter, isn't it? It just looks a bit different, but that's basically what Haymack filter is. But yeah, that'd be absolutely fine, provided it's not falling apart and leaking. Yes, provided you decontaminated it properly. I mean, the thing I don't like with those is they've kind of got those weird sticky bits where you're meant to tape them closed. That's why I prefer the suits with proper zip-up systems, where they're designed to be reusable. Fanel says, mind the account name, it's an alt account, here to inform that the Port of LA in California, USA is slowing down most containers in Port Empty. Is that just because of the sheer amount of stuff running out from China? I mean, they are selling out in most places, noob. But there are still, at least on the UK base, some gas masks people haven't started buying up yet. Particularly a lot of old Warsaw Pact masks, as in like Polish and Czech sort of military ones from the 70s. But in general, noob, most masks are just running out now. Or just sellers can't, keep them up long enough because when they list them, they get just sold really quickly. Most masks and filters, cheat, do have a bit of a smell to them. Unless it smells like vomit or something, I wouldn't worry too much. But I know when I've had my Scott Pro 2000, like the little P3 ones, they generally have a very strong plastic smell to them. It's not an unpleasant smell. I think it's just a strong smelling plastic they used in the case. There's some smells I find weird with like plasticky rubber things, where some of them I can't work out if I like the smell or not. Where it's just at the right kind of degree of both unpleasant and satisfying. I've got a raincoat that has that kind of smell to it, where it's like a new plastic smell, but it almost gives you a headache if you're in the room with it for too long. Yeah, that was a good thing, Paul, because at least you've got them now, haven't you? But that's good, Rajiv. But apparently, a lot of them are getting confiscated by the government. At least people have been saying that in the chat. Like, if you order them, you'll get a cancellation message. Right, there's only one problem I've got with, apparently, a few channels have been saying on the Chinese data, no children have died, even though there's clearly videos coming out of China of dead kids. And again, you can't always confirm it's with coronavirus, and I don't particularly want people to go and look up videos of dead children, but I would certainly suspect that they are lying if they said they've had 0 children die from this so far. Like, I think they said in the 0 to 10 range there's been 0 deaths or something. In the 10 to 20 range there's been like 3 deaths or something. And that certainly does not seem legit to me, because there's like a video where they're like shoving 3 dead kids in one body bag. That's quite a famous video. A lot of you might have seen it. I mean, it's not pleasant, is it? But so I don't think we know until like a later on point how dangerous it is to children or not, because it could very well be quite dangerous. Oh, thank you forever. He says, there was a kid in my brother's class whose mother is in home quarantine because of suspicion. The kid can go in and out of the house as he wants. That's really stupid, because obviously even if he wasn't affected by it, he could pick it up and spread it to other people. So what's the point of quarantining the mother if you're not even going to quarantine a child? I don't know if there's any public sizing guides on it, Ruth. Most adults would need a size medium. But yeah, I don't know how they size them, actually, I'm afraid. If there's a sizing chart, then refer to that, but I don't know if they actually have a sizing chart on the listing pages for it. Thank you, Harry. He said, if you didn't see the message, that he thinks JSP have a sizing chart on their site, but if not, get the smaller size. The reason the smaller sizes are better is because they might be uncomfortably tight, but at least they'll be airtight. Whereas generally, if you get masks that are too big, they might be more comfortable, but if they're not airtight, they defeat the purpose of being a respirator. Yeah, they said the same thing here, Shrimp Zoo, as well, which isn't very reassuring. Not for me, anyway. Especially when, at the moment, the UK government's been saying, oh, we don't want to really keep releasing the locations where people have been diagnosed with it. Because there's 2 in my area now, but they won't say how close to my area they are. So they're saying which county they're in. So they could be 40 miles away, or they could be, like 10 yards away. They could be the next, they could be a few houses down, or somebody down the street. You don't know, because the UK government is refusing to kind of give more localized areas where the people are from, which isn't, very reassuring, is it, if you want to use public transport or whatever and know if people have been diagnosed very close to you or not. I've done a few videos on air guns, but I've not shot any in ages. I mean, yeah, assuming it's everywhere would be the most sensible step, but sadly a lot of people I don't think will have that luxury if they need to keep working, especially because at the moment the UK doesn't seem to be implementing its thing of people, are going to be paid if they have to isolate. They said they will do that, but if they're not doing it at the moment, people could still lose their job, and then they become homeless, Thank you, Joel. He said, got my SM90 ready. You have Discord? Yep, post your ID and I'll invite you to the server. What's that on the BNO one? I'll just refresh that again. There's not an update on that one yet, but that again doesn't mean there's not an update. Just generally, sometimes that runs a few minutes behind, or like half an hour behind. Oh, thank you, Soviet man, as well. Let me add you to survey. So this probably announced before. Yeah, but what filters would fit a Fushida? Filters are just Fushidas are any 40mm filter, GOST or NATO will fit. It's actually a GOST. It's actually NATO threaded the Fushida, but any will fit. Yeah, good luck, PhD life. A lot of people say, as grim as it might sound, use like a toiletry flannel and then just wash it. As long as you've got running water, that'd be easy enough to do. Can you post your full thing, Joel? Because that's not the entire thing, unless it's Juro hashtag 1044. But Discord has a name, and that can include numbers, then a hashtag, and then 4 digits. If you need to know how to check it, open Discord. For me, it's at the bottom left, and there's a bit you can click to copy your name and number to the clipboard. No, Swedish M51s, as far as I'm aware, are 60mm. GP5 is 40mm Ghost. So when one's a really big thread compared to a small thread, it's not going to work. Yeah, if you have donated Gamer85, so if you post your Discord, I'll invite you. It's just like a perk for anybody that donates, and then you can chat with Surplus, whatever, with other people on the server, and it's generally quite good because some of the other people in there can help you. Sometimes, if you ask, where's this in my country? Like the American people on the server are generally, if you're in the US or whatever, are much better. That's it, Joel, thank you. Are generally much better at, finding the right links for people in the US, because obviously sometimes I can find UK links for stuff still in stock. But hand sanitizer will work to the degree of killing stuff on your hands. The issue is if you're in an airborne tight enclosed environment like a tube train or a bus, it's not going to be enough. This is what's annoying me in the UK, where they just keep going, oh, wash your hands and then you'll be fine. Well, washing your hands is a start, isn't it? But washing your hands by itself is not going to, Right, let me add you, gamer. But yeah, this is the problem with, the kind of mentality of basically, oh, we don't want to panic people, so just tell them to wash their hands. Well, it doesn't like Sparrow0944. Let me try it with a capital S, but if not, try pasting it again. Ah, there we go. It had a capital S. That was a problem. Check CM4 masks like this one. Sometimes turn up still on eBay with the filter in the £15 to £20 range. So for that price, they're very good. Especially considering how much masks have inflated in price at the moment. One of these for £15 is excellent. Yeah, I think this is the thing, isn't it? That people have been watching this for a while, Elias, have, said, well, this is really serious just because of the long incubation period, all of the symptoms it can have on people, the strain it puts on the hospital service, and then, then people are, oh, I don't see why it's that serious. It's just the flu. Yeah, so again, Gamer85p, if anybody needs masks, get those CM4s before they all get sold out, or the seller figures out that they can sell them for like 50 quid each or whatever. Well, remember, a lot of people at the moment, Buka, are saying that basically, oh, masks aren't effective, but doctors need masks, so don't buy the masks because the doctors need them. The problem is, I think they are equating surgical masks, P3 masks, like N95 masks, full-on respirators, and that all under the title of mask, where just because it's a mask, it doesn't mean it's the same thing. I mean, I could wear a Halloween mask, couldn't I? But that's not going to protect me. Yeah, very good deal for considering what the prices are at the moment, Swaggerino. I've got a Patreon below, thank you, Hauglipia, if I'm pronouncing the name right. So I don't know if you can donate via Patreon, but a load of people choose to do that. But yeah, the only real way you can donate is via Patreon or YouTube Super Chat, just because I don't really like to hand out all my PayPal details and that to random people. Yeah, Mitchell, it's not great news, is it? But I think part of that is just because they're probably actually getting tests done now, because apparently there was a big issue for ages, wasn't there, in the US with not doing test kits or not enough test kits or faulty test kits or something. Yeah, this is the thing. Look at what happened with South Korea and Italy, because if you're not aware of what happened in South Korea and Italy, was a few cases for a while, then it exploded. You're going to see that happen everywhere because we're just playing catch up. And this is why people go like, "Oh, well, Africans immune because there's barely any cases in Africa." No, they just don't have logistics to test for it. If you've got a system without a very good health infrastructure, you're not going to get many cases. That's the reason South Korea's been very active on testing, and they've got relatively few deaths because the South Koreans are catching the cases as early as possible, containing the spread of it as well as they are doing. But the less tests you run, the less containment you do, the worse it's going to get. Not really PhD life as far as I'm aware, I'm afraid, because YouTube will just delete any kind of links in the chat automatically. They kind of just do it like a spam filter thing. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Rajiv. I don't know if medical gloves are still in stock anywhere, though, but if anybody's got nitrile gloves or whatever, good thing to have about. Well, 53k recovered is a good thing, but apparently a lot of nations that have said people are recovered haven't been really checking that they're recovered. As in, like, they're still infectious and they've been released and then they infect other people, where they should still be quarantined even after they've recovered. Or, other issues like that. So obviously it's good about the people recovering, but, the problem is, again, apparently a lot of China's recovered figures are like a propaganda number. What, 100k total cases? What's the total case number at the moment? 97,000. Yeah, I definitely think so. When South Korea posts an update, Italy posts an update next. I know Italy's done one for today. When the USA posts a big update, China posts an update, it's easily going to get to 100k. If not tonight in UK time, it will certainly be by like 6 in the morning. Like 9 hours time, let's say, it'll be 100k. Thank you, Mitchell, again. They are doing it to a degree. They said they're going to try and be quite open, but they keep saying they don't want to let people know, regularly about the numbers. They said what they want to do is basically keep it to once a week to update everybody, which isn't great, is it? If you want to hear about, are there cases in your local area, stuff like that. So you know when to really start taking it really, really seriously. So yeah, they're not as bad as some countries, which are just simply refusing to say when cases and all that are done. But it's not good in regards to they should, be saying as soon as their cases what areas they're in. Paracetamol was flying off the shelves. Well, I might be quite lucky there at least. There's going to be a drug problem as well because India is. I don't know if it was actually that draw I've got. I mean, it doesn't matter too much. But the problem is as well that there is there's one full box there of 100. There's a lot of drugs are made in India, and apparently India is saying soon they're not going to export any because they need them for their domestic market when everything goes wrong. So. All right, cool, Mike. I'll check that message in a minute once I finish the stream, but I'll be off in a few minutes. Yeah, that's the dangerous thing is Titan. Is a lot of people apparently their medication either comes from China or it comes from India, or it's medication that comes partly from China and then it's processed in India. And at the moment, it sounds like a lot of meds aren't going to be coming from either of those places. I actually really don't know where a lot of my meds come from, so I've tried to stock up as best I can at the moment. But again, who knows? And this is the problem when you rely on other countries to make everything for you. That as soon as everything starts breaking down like this, you're fucked, aren't you? I'm sure lots of the military was infected PhD of life, but again, if they took all the precautions and gave them NBC gear to begin with, that might be the reason why not, but you know. That will work fine. The P3 bit of that squiggles means it will work fine for Corona because that's the particulate protection bit again. The bit you've got with it, FP211, what colour one is it? Polish FP211s are the industrial filters. But yeah, which colour is it? Because depending on the colours, they're like ABEX styled. So with those filters, I don't know if I've got any handy behind me to show. A lot of them are grey, and then they have the coloured bands on. So if it's like red, that would be like the mercury one or whatever. Like the brown one would be organic vapour. Yellow would be acidic vapour. You know, it can be a combination of bands. Silver and blue one. Okay, so silver and blue. The silver kind of white colour will be particle. Blue is... I've got a blue one. It's not mercury, is it, the blue one? That's red. Is it nitrous oxide? It's one of the gases like that, the blue one. It's not a common one, but it will still work fine anyway for Corona stuff. Thank you, TM Selection. So what kind of things are you doing for fitness? Just mostly weightlifting at the moment because I'm asthmatic. I avoid cardio stuff as much as possible, other than, you know, jogging when I do stuff now and then, but I have to be quite careful with that. Night Man, thank you, said Birdlaw, said, any knowledge on Honeywell or Sandstrom? Do you mean Sunstrom filters? Honeywell ones, again, Honeywell and Sunstrom, I think both those companies do proprietary ones and regular 40mm ones. So for both those companies, I'd say go for the 40mm masks and filters they do. So you can put normal filters on them or use those filters on other masks. But like nearly all companies, all of them end up doing proprietary filters as well. Let me Google them. I've never had them, Diego, but let me look that one up. If it's RD40, at least it's a standard fitting. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I mean, it depends what model you get with what's in it, because there's different models of it, but they seem to do P3 ones and organic vapor ones. So again, it's going to meet the same sort of minimal standards as lots of filter companies do. But anyway, all right, thanks everybody. I'm going to be off. A massive thank you to everybody that's donated. It's been a really good stream. Yeah, multivitamins, that's a great thing to get people if you're not on multivitamins at the moment. Again, I wouldn't say just get vitamin C or D. I'd just say get an all-round good multivitamin that covers a lot of things, especially if you're rationing or something for a while where you know, you're not getting a good amount of quality vitamins in. That's all right, Serge. I've got enough at the moment. Oh, thank you, Flying Cloud. I appreciate it. At the moment, as I said, I've got enough meds. It's just going to be further down the line. Is that going to be a problem? But yeah, thank you, everybody, and see you all. I will be on for a stream tomorrow, probably 8 PM UK time again. But yeah, I will see you all tomorrow, hopefully. And there'll be videos on tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, about 12 midday UK time GMT. So see you all then. Goodbye.